Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about some class balance changes which is coming on the August update. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to remind everyone is we are getting an NGS headline tomorrow. So as you can see over here, live in 30 hours at the time of this recording. So I will leave this link in the description below if you're interested in the headline. Now, as usual, in the description below, they did tell us what are the main talking points for this month's NGS headline. And as we can see over here, this time we've got updated info and videos showing on what's ahead in the PSO2 New Genesis version 2 in August 2023, including more details on the ultra high difficulty quest we gave you guys a sneak peek of last time, and our collaboration with Uncle from Another World. Plus, get answers to your comments and questions from the Operation Report segment. So it seems like there's going to be a main focus on the ultra high difficulty quest and probably some gear tied behind it, because as I said before, I'm pretty certain that we are going to be getting a new craftable 9-star rarity weapon or some new armor of some sort. We're going to get new gear. I'm fairly confident that that is going to happen. However, on top of that, of course, they do want to show off the new collaboration, which is Uncle from Another World. Again, we did see confirmation of this from the previous live stream. However, this time they're probably going to show some B-roll of like the actual outfits in game and stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward towards that. Now, something they didn't mention in the description over here is the new game mode that we're supposed to be getting in August as well. So we also have that to look forward to. It's some sort of replayable instance that has randomizers on it. So I'm definitely looking forward to see a little bit more information about that, because they did say that that new game mode is going to be released in August. However, other than the NGS headline, we do have confirmation on some balance adjustments coming. Now, the balance adjustments do not kick after this coming maintenance. We do have to wait until August 2nd, but that is literally in 2 weeks, so it's pretty good. And I have good news for anyone who plays Ranger, Gunner, Force, Techer, Braver, and Bouncer. Basically, all 6 classes over here are getting buffs across the board, which is really nice. I'm kind of surprised that Waker is not getting a buff because, you know, I'm judging from the popularity of classes and Waker seems to be at the very bottom. I'm assuming it's because, you know, Waker just feels a little bit clunky and maybe it doesn't deal a lot of damage and stuff like that, and that's why it's not so popular. So I am a little bit surprised that they're not getting any adjustments at all. While I was relatively surprised that the Braver actually got a balance adjustment and they actually got more buffs, which is even crazier. But nevertheless, we're just going to go down this list over here. We're going to go through every class because it's relatively simple. So the balance adjustment for the Ranger is Launcher Attack Reinforced now has a reduced cooldown time, so that is a buff. As for Gunners, Hail of Bullets has increased potency as well as reduced cooldown time. Twin Machine Gun balance adjustments, basically you just increase charge amount for everything, so that is a buff as well. Really nice. Now as for the Force balance changes, it's just increased potency across the board. As you can see, Tricky Capacitor, Bloom Flourish, as well as United Techniques Force. I still crack up every time that I read United Techniques. I find it so weird to read its English name as United Techniques. But nevertheless, if you're a Force player, you're living the good life because you guys needed more damage, and these abilities over here are actually Talus abilities. So yeah, more damage equals even more efficient PSE farming, and the Talus just got even better. And if we scroll down over here, of course the Techer can also use the Talus, and they also have all of these abilities, so they also benefit from the increased potency across the board. Very nice. But now to talk about the Braver adjustments, and again, I was very surprised to see that they were buffs and not nerfs. But as you can see over here, Brave Combat, increased combat finisher potency. So when you end Brave Combat, it's going to hit even bigger numbers, which is insane because I'm already hitting like 50 to 60,000 on this. So being able to hit even more damage, I'm all for it. And on top of that, we get reduced cooldown time for this, so we can activate Brave Combat more often and just get this free DPS even more often, as well as refill our photon power and heal ourselves as well. So this is really awesome. And on top of that, we also have Brave Combat Short Cycle, reduced cooldown time for this as well. So I mean, I understand where they're coming from. So let me explain the logic behind why they did this. So the reason they did this was because the Slayer has an ability which is similar to Brave Combat where you activate it and you get a whole bunch of crit rate and a whole bunch of damage basically, and then when you end it you do a gigantic finisher that does tons of damage as well. And because of that, the Slayer was extremely popular, and a lot of people played Slayer because it just dealt the most damage. So what they're doing over here is to try to bump Braver to about the same level as the Slayer in terms of damage. Now I still don't think the Braver is going to out DPS the Slayer anytime soon, simply because the Slayer just has so much inbuilt crit chance that it's going to be really hard for any class to out DPS a Slayer unless they do introduce crit rate capsules or crit rate augments into the game. But until then, I'm pretty confident that Slayer's still going to be the #1 DPS, simply because they can crit more often. But I feel like that is the logic behind why we actually got more buffs, is just to bring everyone up to the same standard as the Slayer. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, we didn't really need these buffs as a Braver. We're already in a pretty good spot. Now next up we have to talk about the Bouncer. The Bouncer did get some buffs over here, where the Jet Sweep Jolt got increased potency as well as increased PP recovery amount. Now I do feel a little bit bad for my Bouncer mains which play Soaring Blades, because well, Soaring Blades I feel like still needs a little bit more buffs. But yeah, no changes over here. Now actually, speaking about other weapons, something I noticed is the Braver changes over here. There are no buffs for the bow. Like sure, Brave Combat and Brave Combat Short Cycle indirectly also affects your bow. You know, it does increase your finisher for your bow as well. But I was thinking that, hey, if you're gonna buff the class, you might as well give the bow even more love, right? Give them even more damage, even less cooldown and stuff like that. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the balance adjustments because it's just buffs across the board. And I hope that they continue this pattern, but with all of the other classes as well. And of course, you know, just more buffs across the board. So that brings all the classes at the same level as the Slayer as well as the Braver. I feel like those are the gold standards of like what a class should feel like in order to deal damage and just the fluidity. And it just feels fun to play those classes.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.